Hello students, take a look at the picture. Can you identify it? This is a picture of a shed. A shed is a small room away from the main house for storing or keeping things, animals, tools, vehicles, etc. There are various kinds of sheds. For example, a cow shed where cows are kept, a tool shed where tools and implements are kept, a wood shed where wood or firewood is stored. Just as we clean and take care of a house, so also a shed needs regular cleaning. It has to be maintained properly. Otherwise, it will begin to fall apart. And when it is not used for a long time, it becomes a dwelling place for wild creatures such as spiders, snakes, etc. Today's topic is a poem written by Frank Flynn titled The Shed, wherein he describes a shed that is at the bottom of his garden. The shed is old and in a bad condition. The shed arouses interest and curiosity in him. Now let's recite the poem. The Shed. There's a shed at the bottom of our garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I'm in bed, I lie and I listen. I'll open that door one day. There's a dusty old window around at the side with 3 cracked panes of glass. I often think there's someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. My brother says there's a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. And if I ever dare to set foot inside, he'll jump out and chop off my head. But I'll take a peek one day. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises. And the spider has been gone from his web since I don't know when. I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. The poet begins by describing the shed that he has at the bottom of his garden. It is an old shed with a spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges of the door are rusty and so creak in the wind. This creaking is heard by the poet when he is in bed, and he plans to open that creaky old door one day. The shed also has a dusty old window at the side with 3 cracked panes of glass. The poet thinks that someone is staring at him through the cracked glass pane each time he passes by. Yet he decides to peep through that window one day to find out what lies inside. His brother tells him that there's a ghost in the shed who hides under rotten floorboards. Floorboards refer to a floor made up of wooden boards. And so, if the poet ever gathers courage and steps inside the shed, the ghost will jump out of the floorboards and chop off his head. That is, the ghost will kill him. But the poet develops a strong urge to take a peek in the shed later one day. He knows that there are no ghosts and that his brother merely says so only to keep the shed for his den, that is, his secret place. He wants to do things in secret. He wants to keep the poet away from the shed. He also knows that there isn't anyone who is staring or making strange noises. The spider, too, has left the web. The poet resolves to go into the shed and explore it one day, perhaps when he is a little older.